everyone. It is 7 a.m. and we are standing in the driveway waiting for a big old dump truck to come with a giant load of compost. I hope you like my hair and my high fashion this morning. But we have to wait for the truck to get here. They would normally dump the delivery where we instruct them, but we just want to make sure that we have continued access to our driveway. So it's going to be a pretty big load from what we anticipate. So we're out here, me and Farmer John. We're getting ready to get a delivery of soil.
It's a good day to get dirty.
Here comes our truck delivery, guys. Guys, we're just having breakfast before we head on out, and I wanted to show you this real quick before we go out. I am so proud of my tomatoes. I want to give you a closer look. Will you look at these tomatoes, how tall they are? There's 20 varieties in here. Most of them they're pretty tall. Even my peppers and my eggplants are doing exceptionally well. It's like I have a little forest of tomatoes here that takes up 2/3 of this kitchen table, and this kitchen table is very, very large. But I couldn't be happier. I will use this method of growing again. Hopefully this year was just not some crazy fluke, but it feels, if ever there was a blessing in starting your seedlings, I can't complain. They have beautiful canopy. They have beautiful straight stems. Oh my goodness. Farmer John's having oatmeal. Getting ready to work. Look at my lettuce leaf basil. Isn't this gorgeous? Look at all my basils are so happy. I have another basil started. This is the lime basil that I'm starting again. And these are some more peppers. Another brandywine tomato over here. And more basil growing. Oh my goodness. All of this is going to go into that beautiful compost that we just purchased. And we are well on our way. This time next month, we should be putting this stuff in the ground. All right, you guys, we just got changed. We had our breakfast. I'm about to pull my hair back in a nice braid, so I'm ready to work with Mr. Farmer John here. The landscapers are out in full force. What we want to talk to you about here is what 4 cubic yards of soil looks like. We are going to tell you why we chose this specific type of soil. We're going to tell you exactly what we got. We're going to tell you how we came up with our calculation. And we're going to try to go over as many numbers with you and theory as we possibly can as to how we place this order. So there's a lot of intimidation that can happen when you're getting a truckload of soil delivered. The last thing that you want to do is have too much soil delivered and you have no place to put it. And it can be frustrating when you go ahead and arrange for an entire day to have a delivery and then you don't have enough soil. The most important thing that you want to remember is that 1 cubic yard of soil is going to cover approximately 10 feet by 10 feet by about 3 inches deep. So when you look at the way it calculates from buying bags, 1 bag of soil that you'll find, at Lowe's or even Costco, the Miracle Grow soil, that is 50
50
dry quarts of soil.
And that's a big bag of soil.
That's a big bag. So we've come to the estimate that if we were to buy this by the bag, it's going to be a minimum $10 a bag, okay? And we figured that we would need 56 to 60 bags of soil just to cover the amount that you see in this pile behind us here. So when you add that up, let's say $10 by, let's say you get 56 bags, that's going to be $560.
That's a lot of money.
Of you buying bags, schlepping it into your car, getting it out of the store, dragging it into your house, opening up bags and dumping it. Now, we paid $50 a cubic yard.
That's right.
$50 a yard for
Cubic yard.
For this compost here. And we're going to tell you more about the type of soil that we bought and why we got it. So we did 4 with delivery. It came to $213, which averages out, if it were in a bag, to be a little over $3 a bag. So you really can't beat that. And this is good quality, locally harvested, locally sourced compost that we'll be using. So we're about to get to work, and I'll be talking to you about some more of this as we go along. So a few of the things you see in the background here are some of the items that I want to go over with you that you're going to need to be prepared to have if you go ahead and decide that you're going to take on a task like this, to have a mountain of soil delivered to your house for your garden beds. So you can see we have 2 wheelbarrows available, and you want to make sure that your front tire is nice and inflated, because if your tire is not inflated, it's going to be harder to push a full barrow of soil, and it will make it your job much, much harder. Plus it will leave ruts in your lawn. The next important thing that Farmer John here is a wide mouth or a wide faced shovel. This type of shovel is specific for shoveling soil and mulch. So let me get them out of the shot here. So this makes the job go substantially faster when you're lifting by the shovel load. If you do it with a spade or just a regular D-handle shovel, you'll be out here all day. So we learned to invest in these types of shovels so that we can get everything loaded up into the wheelbarrows quickly and efficiently. And then as the tires are nice and inflated, everything goes back nice and quick. So Farmer John will show you about how much it can lift. All right, so go ahead. It's also important that you don't overfill your wheelbarrow. You could potentially dump it. It's easier to just make a couple extra trips than it is to overfill your barrow, because you're going to struggle potentially. You could hurt yourself. You could dump it. You don't want to do that. So we're going to take it slow and easy today, and it'll work out better in the long run. So this morning I've already started making sure that I put on sunscreen, and John will have on a hat and a back belt, because you're going to get sunburn out here now. It's the middle of April. The sun angle is different. I got a lot of nice lip chapstick on to make sure that my lips stay nice and hydrated. And while I won't really be doing this labor at all because of my back, John's going to be the one working at everything. But he's all, hydrated. We have plenty of cold water available. We have all of our safety equipment on. You also might want to consider that your clothes are probably going to get ruined. This type of soil is dirt. It's like dirty. It's like staining. So we learned our lesson a long time ago to make sure that we could potentially have to throw away our clothes after this, because it really does gunk up the washing machine. So right now we're going to have a look at how we came to our calculation of 4 cubic yards, so that maybe it will help you to determine, if you need a soil delivery, how much you might want to order. So just as a beginning visual, this little patch here from timber back to the timber, it's about 10 by 12 feet. This is where we plant our cornfield. So this patch alone, if we were to fill it entirely, 3 inches thick would take 1 cubic yard of soil. So that gives you an idea of how quickly this is going to get eaten up. So then we have the long tomato bed here. which is going to be another source of really swallowing a good bit of that soil, because we're going to need more than 3 inches in some places. This bed is very long. So as you're calculating, like I said, it can be very intimidating when you compare to bags and trying to figure out how many cubic feet, how many cubic yards. It's a lot. So just keep in mind, the easiest calculation that you need to remember is 10 feet by 10 feet by 3 inches deep. So most places that supply bulk soil and mulch and things like that will have a minimum that they're going to send to you. The place that we ordered from was in Morristown, New Jersey, a place called Leonberg Nurseries, which is now operated by YLM. If you're looking for them, we can provide their information down below in a link for you. They have a 4-yard minimum to our area. So we had to get, if we were going to do this today, it had to be 4 yards, which is fine. That's exactly how much we knew we wanted. We have some thought that we could potentially need a little bit more because we have so many beds to fill today, but it can be overwhelming. It doesn't look like too much soil out there, but once you start moving it, if you're not in shape, you can hurt yourself, guys. You can hurt yourself. So you want to prepare a day off for this. You want to get it delivered first thing in the morning on a day when it's not too hot. And, you know, just be prepared. We just want you to be prepared. So the next thing to talk about is what type of soil you should actually order. You know, there are different options available, and I'm going to show you some pictures from Leonberg Nurseries page that will show you your options. So in this light, it's really hard to appreciate just how beautiful this compost is. It's beautiful, black. It looks nice and loose. It's got a good mix of organic material in it, and I'm really happy that we chose the leaf compost, and I'll tell you why we decided to use this as an option. Here comes Farmer John. All right. So you see he didn't fill it up too much. It's just easier to handle. So we're just going to dump it in, and we're going to create a nice pile here just so that we can get it out of the street. Because you just never know when the neighbors come along. Some people think it's okay to let their dogs stop and cock their leg on your mulch, on your soil, because they certainly don't care, it seems, if you have beautiful flowers outside. But that's a whole other tangent. I won't go off on a rant. I really won't, I promise. So right now our beds, you know, they have been resting all winter. We didn't have a cover crop on them this year, and you can see how the soil just really depletes and it just becomes loose and dry. But it is a combination of native soil and soils we bought from bags through the last couple of summers. Now, Costco used to have a really nice organic soil. I can't remember who made it, but then they switched to Miracle-Gro. And the Miracle-Gro raised bed soil is okay. We have a few bags of that we bought when it was on sale this year, because we were using it to get them some, you know, our cold weather stuff into the beds before we could get this delivery here. But this stuff just seems to deplete and dry out really, really easy. So, you know, we decided to go ahead this year and do a full-on delivery. Now, there are options. And the one thing that you want to remember is when you get a bulk load like this, these things are high in organic material. You know, it's very nutrient rich when you order the right soil. Now, because we have native soil and we have soil here that we're going to mix in, we went ahead and we did a compost level delivery. Now, it's important that you have soil to mix into this. If you don't have native soil or soil in your beds already and you're starting from scratch, you're going to want to get a premium blend, which usually involves screened soil, and then they add leaf compost to it to come up with a beautiful blend. Now, if you have something that's too nutrient rich, it can kill your seedlings, it can kill certain flowers and certain shrubs, and it's just too heavy and it will suffocate it and you'll have a nitrogen problem. So right now I'm going to go over the 2 types of organic material that you can have delivered for a garden bed in bulk.
So something that's very popular and kind of trending almost is the use of mushroom soil. And mushroom soil is beautiful. It's black gold. You get it delivered and you say, okay, that is not dirt, that is soil. And it's really just beautiful, organic. You know, you have so much hope for it when you have it delivered. But the truth of the matter is, mushroom soil is very, very high in nitrogen, and it's very, very high in salt. So there are a list of shrubs and flowers and even vegetable seedlings that won't cooperate in mushroom soil. Now, we learned this lesson by experience, and I'll tell you a little story. 23 years ago, we built our home, and they didn't grade it properly, and we wanted to build flower beds and things like that. We were not really growing into vegetables at that point. So we had 10 cubic yards of mushroom soil delivered that day. And it was so beautiful. We used it for our to resod the backyard, and we used it to plant 50 shrubs that day. We couldn't figure out through the months why our azaleas kept dying. It took us years to figure out that azaleas don't like mushroom soil because of the nitrogen and the salt. So if you have garden beds that are already established and you try to plant in straight mushroom soil, the nitrogen is going to make your seedlings get very, very leggy. They will produce a lot of leaves, but you're not really going to get that boost of heads that will come up that you need. And the salt can be very, very bad. Now, things like tomatoes, they like a little salt. They're going to like that nitrogen for their leaves, but it can affect how it produces its fruit. So that's something you want to keep in mind. Now, mushroom soil is absolutely excellent. It's an excellent soil if you are amending your beds. Now, if this is your first order of soil, and your ground, let's say that your beds are dry, that your earth that you're trying to plant in is terrible clay, and let's say your clay is soaking wet and it's like almost like concrete. If you put something in it, it kind of sinks in and you need to amend it. You want to amend something like that with mushroom soil. That's your perfect opportunity. Or if you have just straight sand or too much sandy loam, then you want to add mushroom soil, and you want to add that really, really deep in and really turn it, and you want to have a good ratio of soil to native soil. So that's your opportunity to use mushroom. The leaf compost is very, very high in organics and nutrients, and it's much more balanced for vegetable beds. Now, if you are starting fresh and you don't want to amend with mushroom soil first, you're going to want to get a premium blend of screen topsoil mixed with leaf compost, and that will build your beds as well. It's a much more balanced ratio of nitrogen and phosphorus, and it's a different consistency as well. Mushroom soil is very, very heavy and sticky, and like I said, it's beautiful, but this gorgeous leaf compost back here is just as dark and rich. It's a much lighter and fluffier texture though, and as we get all of these mounds in here, John will be stirring it all in and making it into like a nice recipe. We will also be adding our own compost to it, which is a very high consistency of eggshells, banana peels, vegetable peels that we have had in our Miracle Grow composter over the last several months. And actually, something else that we have been doing is every week before we have things that are going into the composter, I just have bowls of compostable material, which again is mainly eggshells and banana peels. And once a week he comes out and digs a deep hole, and he'll put those materials straight into the ground to break down. And it's really working out really, really well for us. So right now the bed is filling up nicely. This is our main tomato bed. All those beautiful seedlings I have sitting in the kitchen waiting. I'm about to bring out into the greenhouse so they can get their morning light. This is a very important soil delivery for us, because if you don't have good soil, you're going to have problems with your tomatoes, which we've had for the past few summers. Now, we like to consider ourselves experienced tomato growers at this point, and experienced gardeners actually. We've been on this property for 9 years and we started growing right away, but last year was the biggest year that we've ever had. And traditionally, our favorite tomatoes to grow are the Park Swappers. And we buy them, started by Bonnie's, and we get them at either Lowe's or Home Depot. And, you know, if you wait for them to go on sale, you might get, I don't know, 3 for $10, sometimes 4 for $10. But just yesterday, John ran into Lowe's and realized that Bonnie's came already and that they have a big display outside here in New Jersey. It's just not a good time to have tomatoes outside yet. It's just not. And they had the classic beefsteak out and they were $6 a plant. They were a little leggy, a little pale. They're all leaning to the side. They all looked windswept, and that just made me appreciate so much more that we actually went ahead and we started all of these seedlings. Now, this year I'm not planning on buying any starter plants. I went ahead directly to Parks and got the Park Swapper seeds from them. I have a whole gang of them started on the kitchen table. 20 varieties of tomatoes. So it's highly important to us this year. For me and all the love I poured into it, it's important to me that we don't suffer with blossom end rot this year. Now, normally our Park Swappers grow beautifully. We don't have a problem with blossom end rot. It's all of the other varieties that we try to grow from seed. So like I said, I decided this was going to be the year of healthy seedlings. So I made sure I added the organic fertilizer to the seedlings, and they look absolutely incredible. So the problem was happening where we realized the bed it seemed to have sporadic nutrition through it. I planted 8 Hungarian hearts last year, and one would be fine, and I would get these giant, you know, more than a pound sized tomatoes, and they were beautiful pink and they had colorful shoulders. Oh my God, they were so beautiful. And then the plant next to it would have blossom end rot. So we decided that this year we were going to get the proper soil and we were going to amend these beds properly so that we have a 100% successful year. That is my focus this year, is 100% success rate with the tomatoes. So Farmer John's dumping away here. We're going to get these beds nice and filled, and we decided that if we have, you know, a ton left as we move along, we're just going to pile it back onto the corn bed until we can decide where we're going to need to disperse it, just to get it out of the street. But this is one of the beds that we have to fill up, and I'm procrastinating because I planted these carrots late in the year, and for whatever reason they just didn't make it. This whole bed was filled with carrot seeds, and they took their good old time, and now they overwintered, and there's actually carrots in there. So I hate having to rip it out, but I'll just use them as baby carrots and start new carrots, just so we can get this bed topped off. Now, as I'm heading by, I wanted to go into the house and show you a couple things that as far as the soil calculation goes, but this is a walk I'm taking every day. Now, this looks like artificial flowers that we came and plucked in the ground. You guys, I really need you to go back if you haven't watched it and this is your first time here, and have a look at a video right now that is titled Tulip Fever. It's just all about these tulips. They look artificial, they're so beautiful, and these are the tulips that we bought from Costco. So just a little side note there. Look at this, so beautiful. I'm gonna pop into the greenhouse here. I'm getting ready to pull everything out for the day and get it into the greenhouse. All right, let's see. Oh, we're starting the day at over 90 degrees. Doesn't feel like 90 degrees though. It's actually really wonderful in here. Got my lupins. They're doing good. They'll be going in the ground this week. I started up potting some of my snapdragons, and hopefully I'll actually get flowers this year. And the one thing that's been growing really, really well here in the greenhouse is my little gem lettuce and this beautiful dazzling blue kale. I have radicchio growing and all of this, so I'm happy that I don't have this greenhouse heated right now. So, you know, it's a trade-off. I'm dragging stuff in and out, but look at what I have growing. I'm pretty happy with that. And again, we're working with a manual vent opener here, which I'm also happy about because I have a little bit more control. But the automatic opener the wood gets stuck from time to time, so the automatic opener doesn't work. But that's a whole other video that we can link below. All right, so I've come in the house for a minute, and I want you to see that we are on the
the Young's Landscaping or Leonberg Nurseries. You can see their name and their phone number there also. They have some tabs that educate you on the type of soil delivery you might want to have. And it will tell you about their soil and what type you might need. So they'll go over the topsoil options with you, why you need it, what the difference is between topsoil, screen topsoil, the premium soil mix, leaf compost, and mushroom soil. So they give you a nice education there, and they remind you that fill dirt will not grow plants. And if you come down a little bit, you'll see that they have a price list, a materials calculator, and all of that good stuff. So if you are in the Burlington County, New Jersey area, this is a good source for soil delivery, because as I said, it works out to be around $3 for what would be $3 a bag if you were to go ahead and buy it by that measurement.
We're taking a walk down now. We're going to see how much progress we've gotten out of the street here. I shouldn't say we, it's all Farmer John. All right. Not bad. That moved pretty quick. It's still a substantial amount of soil. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of bags, right?
Mm-hmm, that's right.
All right. Very cool. So these are the bags of soil that we bought from Costco this year and last year as well. And like I said earlier, you can see that they are 50 quarts a bag. The net contents contain 50 dry quarts. Made with compost, supposedly OMRI listed for organic use for fruits, vegetables, flowers, herbs, and trees. You know, this stuff, it's been okay. They say there's no mixing required. So the reason they tell you that there's no mixing required is because they add in there other soils that make it lighter and fluffier so that you're not dealing with straight compost, because again, straight compost is not ideal. You have to have some sort of a fill soil that goes into this in order to make your soil the right consistency, the right texture. You don't want to have too much nutrient, you don't want to have too much nitrogen. So one of the things that we like to amend with is sphagnum peat moss. Now there's some places that have a real problem with using peat moss in their gardens, especially in the UK. Supposedly peat moss is bad for the environment. I know that the harvesting of it is a whole other issue. So we are trying to, figure out another resource other than sphagnum peat moss. There's yucca coir, cocoa coir, all of those things. Now, if you're going to put any of this soil aside when you have it delivered to use in your garden pots for flowers, or even if you're if you do your vegetable gardening in pots or buckets, you're just going to want to have another medium in there that's going to lighten it up, because something that heavy is not really meant for a pot. It'll suffocate everything. It won't be able to drain properly. So you're going to need something else to add in there. And I'll show you another bag of stuff that we have that's made specifically for pots. This is also the Miracle Grow product that we bought at Costco. It's made for potting mix, and you can see it's compost, but it also has the yucca coir, that yucca and cocoa coir in here that we talked about. So this makes it a good candidate for potting. And since I'm really done for the year with starting seedlings, everything now that's going to be going into pots will be predominantly flowers that we bought from Bare Root and Cormers from Costco. We have a few things coming in the mail also. I will use the existing bags that we have left of the Miracle Grow, but we're also going to put aside some of the stuff that we just had delivered, and I'm going to mix that with good draining elements like the peat moss, just to get it, and I may even put some perlite or vermiculite in there just to make sure that it stays loose, yet you want it to hold its moisture, and we're going to use that for other things. Here's another look as I'm heading back into the house. Oh my gosh, these glorious tulips. You guys, you have to watch the Tulip Fever video. Please just watch it.
Oh goodness, so now it's 4 o'clock. Here are all of my seedlings after a day in the greenhouse. I had to bring them in because it's just so warm in there, but they're doing so well. From time to time you may see a little bit of a spot here. That's because they were too close to the grow light when I had them on the windowsill, and the grow light got to a few of them, but I'm not worried about it overall. I think there's only 2 leaves out of all of these plants that got a little bit of scorch. So speaking of scorch, let's go check on Farmer John and see how he's making out.
So he was actually done quite a while ago, actually moving everything out of the street, and I have to say I'm always impressed with just the amount of manpower this guy can put into stuff. John is very, very strong. He has a lot of endurance, and I just don't. So I want to show you how well he cleaned everything up.
So this area here will be getting amended with soil because we'll be adding all sorts of wonderful plants out here to this area that will be flanking the walkway once that gets done. But you can see the street is clean. Everything that was here is now swept clean as we promised. And everything is moved into place and ready to receive the plants out here in the front.
So just as a courtesy, you know, I reach out to our connected neighbors and say, hey, we're having a giant load of soil delivered and it's going to, you know, be partially in front of your house. We just want you to know that it will be swept clean by the end of the day, and here's what's happening. So you don't wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning and see a dump truck in front of your house and say, okay, who's going to clean all this up? So we like to let people know. But anyway, we're going to take a walk over and find Farmer John now and have a look at everything where he dumped all of the soil, and we're about to wrap it up for today.
So this little retaining wall area here, John built for us out of scrap that we picked up from the stone yard, and I couldn't be happier with the way it looked. It's, you know, it's not meant to be perfect. I love the way it looks. It's holding in all of the soil around the base of the greenhouse here exactly the way I wanted it to. This whole walkway will be getting done soon. My lupins and my snapdragons are growing happily. We have some tulips here. Look how nice this turned out, this curve on this wall though. So we'll be expanding a little bit more here to keep this retained, because that's also part of the pad for the greenhouse. And then this area here that John put in this weekend is going to be a walkway. So you can see here where all of the soil got dumped, and we didn't put everything in place today. We're not worried about it. We still have about a month before tomatoes come out and peppers. Our main concern was to get the soil out of the street. And John accomplished that a while ago. He did it all by himself. He did a really great job. Everything's all topped off now. My carrot bed is all ready to get some seeds. I hope it's not too late. And here we go. I mean, just seeing the dirt or the soil in place is a big indicator, you know, that the season is about to start. So I was actually able to come out today and harvest a substantial amount of spinach, which is just going crazy. So I have that in the refrigerator all cleaned and put away. This here, we dumped it into mounds just so that we have enough to spread out for the cornfield. Because the cornfield here has to get hilled. So we'll get into more about that if you've never planted corn before. We'll show you how we put everything out, amend the soil, get all of the nutrients in there, particularly for corn, and then we'll hill it up and get ready to put the seeds in. But look at the beautiful spinach. I planted these seeds in September, and they're just coming up now. Absolutely gorgeous. This is a combination of Giant Noble and Gigante di Inverno, so I couldn't be happier about that. So right now we have plenty of soil over here, and the blueberries bushes are all topped off. They're starting to get their flowers. The blackberries are already, look how much growth the blackberries have though. These look really, really good. They're pretty healthy. Now last year they had a little bit of rust on them and we took a chance and we did not kill them. Some people say you should kill any bramble that has rust. We're going to isolate the problem though. So we held on to it. It's not coming back with rust. It's not to say that it won't get rust again, but we're going to be on top of it. And then I'm going to be taking all of these strawberries out of the green stalk, which in my opinion was a big mistake. I really regret buying the green stalk specifically for strawberries. It just did not work out. Half of our strawberries died. So again, here is the blueberry bushes that we bought from DeMayo's down in Hamilton. These are the Doris Duke variety of blueberry, and they really did give us some giant berries. So these strawberries are a different variety, which we got both containers from Norse Farms. I think they're up in Massachusetts. So I'm a little concerned about moving these strawberries since they've gone to flower, but really only the top here survived. Most of these crowns down here are either dead or questionable, but we'll see what happens. So over here on the other side of the net, we're actually in this little netted area that we built to keep the birds out, but they manage to get in here every year anyway. So we're going to put the strawberries all together in these galvanized bins. So let's walk around and go have a chat with Farmer John.
Perfect
All right,
timing.
so here's Farmer John after a whole entire day. He's been working since 7:30 this morning. I offered to feed him several times, but John likes to work until the work is done.
That's right.
So, you know, so what did you think about that soil? Do you feel like, I mean, just a little bit I just handled of it. I loaded up the pots over there.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's good
It's absolutely
soil.
beautiful, yeah.
So I'm going to turn this around and face both of us so we can be together. Hang on.
Sounds
Yeah, so it seemed when just a little bit that I handled the soil, I put it into pots where I'm going to be planting some bare root flowers and things like that. And it seemed like the soil is very, very light and fluffy compost. I could definitely feel the difference after remembering that mushroom soil that we bought all those years ago, which was just so heavy.
yeah.
So if you're in the Burlington County area, right as of now, I personally think I'm going to go ahead and recommend Leonberg Nurseries for soil. John, did you feel like it was heavy while you were moving it in the wheelbarrow?
Oh, I think after a full day you start feeling it, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. You throw it in the wheelbarrow. Always remember to stay hydrated when you're doing this stuff, guys. It's so important. So get yourself some water. Listen to your favorite music, especially if there's a lot of noise around you, and if not, just listen to nature. It's a beautiful day today, so it was a good day to do it.
Beautiful day. Well, I'm glad that it's all done for now. And
Me
now the big thing is John's going to finish setting these galvanized containers here so we can move our strawberries over, and then we move on to the next thing. So really the thing that we want you to take away from this video that we made today was that if you're going to order a truckload of soil, remember that 1 cubic yard basically covers 10 by 10 by 3 inches. And if you order compost, leaf compost, you're still going to want to mix that into some native soil. If you don't have any native soil left, you're going to want to buy a premium mix. If you have decided already you want to deal with mushroom soil, keep in mind that that is really a better option for amending bad soil before you do a topsoil that is beautiful compost like this and mixed with something lighter and fluffier. So anyway, you guys, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, throw us some hearts, make some comments, let's chat about this. And again, this is our backyard garden. We hope you'll consider subscribing to our channel, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.